Hey guys, I wanted to make a video today about previous psychedelic experiences. I wanted to talk about my first LSD experience, really my first few, and just kind of talking about my introduction to psychedelics. And so, first off, before I ever did any psychedelic, I first started smoking weed um, maybe a year and a half, maybe a year before ever tripping, and I spent a year basically researching psychedelics on Erowid, which is a research website where people just put all their testimonies and trip reports. They'll on erowid.com. They'll I believe it's .com, but people put all their uh experience reports on there. Maybe it's .org, but they'll put all their experience reports of different substances, psychoactive substances, LSD, uh, marijuana, even more obscure substances like research chemicals and so on, and even wild stuff like salvia and so on. And so before I ever did psychedelics, I spent a year researching them, about harm reduction, about trip reports. I think it really fascinated me to read other people's experiences and, watch videos like this one where it's just people talking about their experiences. And so I spent a year almost like obsessively, kind of obsessively learning about the effects of psychedelics. Um, I learned about what sort of uh effects I might anticipate if I were to do psychedelics. And so when I first took LSD, uh pretty much the common advice that I heard a lot from people like Psych Substance and stuff like that is that you want to start low. You want to start at a low dose. I mean, this is just general harm reduction advice. And I tried to do it by the harm reduction. I tried to follow the harm reduction the best I could. And so the first time I ever took LSD, um, me and a friend, we were hanging out, and I mean, we would smoke weed and stuff, so we kind of were familiar with like drug dealing or like trying to buy drugs off of people. Weed was still legal at this time. And so um when we hit someone up, someone he knew who claimed to be selling LSD, who was like the plug, they had all the drugs and stuff. And so this person was they're gonna sell us some LSD. And you know, being back then, like thinking back on this, it was kind of dumb what we did because we only bought I think one tab or something. Like we just got the money that we had, which was like not a whole lot. It was maybe like 20-30 bucks, and we bought a single tab with that. And so we overpaid a lot for just one tab, but I mean, there's really no price you can put on that stuff. And I so the guy takes a long time. He finally shows up because he came from like the city over, which was like probably over a half-hour drive. He gave us a single tab or whatever, maybe a tab and a quarter or half or something, and we split it. And so I I really anticipate it. Like it was like the whole thing I wanted to do. Like I really want like I didn't even want to really smoke weed. I remember I just wanted to do psychedelics. And I remember I think I even didn't smoke weed or something because I wanted to feel it. I wanted to know, like I wanted to see what it was like. And so when I take when I take it, I wait, and I I just sit in my room. Like I actually go into the other room and I just sit in my room. Maybe like like 15, 20 minutes past. I go sit in my room. Maybe some time passes, and I remember staring at my lamp. It was like one of those, like the Pixar lamp that has an arm on it and it hinges. It's like one of those lamps that I remember just kind of staring at it and watching it kind of warble a little bit. And I didn't know if it was the LSD doing it or if I was making it up. So fast forward a little bit, I feel like that we think we kind of got scammed, so maybe we just didn't take that much, but we think we got scammed pretty much. We weren't sure if we were really feeling it, and so my friend he kind of just resorts to like he asked me if I want to like snort pills with him or something like because I mean you're not really feeling the drugs, so it's like he's kind of resorting to something else. And I don't really do stuff like that, but I it was like one of the only exception times I ever made an exception like that, and I think I just snorted like one or half a pill or something. It was like a Valium or oxycodone or something. It was I didn't really know what I was doing, um, and it was it. So we somehow end up staying up all night. I didn't really do any drugs after that. And honestly I didn't really even notice anything from doing snorting that or whatever. Um, I I so I remember we went outside for a walk at like when the sun was coming up, and I remember it was actually really nice. I mean that's just nice in general. But okay, so this was an I guess you could say an underwhelming experience. Um, but I want to talk about the real kind of introduction now. So so fast forward a little bit. I don't know if it's weeks or months or whatever, but I contact someone different, a friend of mine that I knew for some time, and I I was able to get some acid from him, and when I did that, I all right, let's see. This was probably like 8 years ago, so I have to sort of recall some of this stuff. I remember I got like some tabs or something. Maybe I just got one, and it was in tinfoil or whatever. And then I went to, you know, I saved it, and then I took it on a day. It was like a weekend or like it was maybe sometime in the summer. And I remember I took it, and it was only 100 micrograms. So it's like one dose, and this was different. This was completely different. This was so different. Um, and so what happened was I took it and I came up, which means that it started to take effect, and it was pretty like the transition was almost like I don't even remember really coming up. I just remember tripping, you know. And the first time someone takes LSD, um, they're they have no tolerance. They have no preconception. They have like no yeah, they have no tolerance. So they're just completely fresh slate. And sometimes when people have their first LSD experience, it varies between people. But for me, it just totally took effect. And I remember what started to happen was that I and this first trip is not like a lot of the things I experienced that in that first trip, the things that I experienced, I didn't really experience again. Like it was kind of a lot of the rare things happened during that first trip. And what happened was I So I wasn't listening to any music, but I had music stuck in my head, and like I was listening to a bunch of music before I tripped, like in the day before or earlier in the day, and I was listening to this artist Sam I Am. He's made music with like Action Bronson and Earl Sweatshirt. He makes like hip hop beats, and I was listening to his album, um, "Animals Have Feelings," and even though I wasn't listening to the music during like when I started to trip, I I could hear the music. Like I remembered it so well. Like I started to recall the memory of the music so well that I could literally hear it. So I actually started to listen to this music for this video to kind of refresh my memory. And like I remember, like there's this song Mr. One there's this song on the album called Not a Fluke. And if you listen to that song, it's very like it's very ghostly, and like um that album is like one of my favorite like psychedelic albums still to this day. I think that album is so underrated. I it's very like the beats are just very they hang in the air. They're very repetitive, and it was like such good music to just get into a trance to. And so like when I was remembering it, I could hear kind of the ghostly wails of the sample, and like I it's like I could hear the music even though I could recall it so well. It's like I was just listening to it in a kind of ghostly form. It was strange. So this was going on while I was tripping, and then like the visuals are starting to kind of uh, affect the air in a way. Like it's almost like a wave. Like you can almost start to see the wave come through, and like things are starting to move. And when this started to happen, uh, I I remember like looking at the wood grain, and I you know, if you ever like look at like a tuning fork and you strike it on something hard, and then it like vibrates and it creates like a double image. Or like if you're on the highway and you're looking at the wheel of another car and it's starting to like move in reverse with like a splitting image or something, or like double, I don't know, like it has like a visual hallucination effect. And I remember like everything kind of doing that like in the air. And I remember looking at the wood grain, and it started to like uh gain contrast and sort of move. It would start to move, and like in sort of like a almost like a dance, but it's like a waving like this, and it's like and the colors are starting to change. Like the wood grain is starting to look like red to me, and it's like whoa. and 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 I remember this just starting to like really take effect, and like I was just watching it, you know, and like getting like transfixed in it. And then like I I remember I kind of sit back, and like so my cousin he's in the room with me. I don't know how he gets in the I don't know where he came from, but he's in the room sitting next to me, and we're kind of talking a little bit. And then like I'm looking at his shirt, and it's just like entire colors are moving through it. Like his shirt is changing from like it's like a bright orange shirt, but like when I was tripping, like I had no idea what color it was because it was just changing colors so intensely. Like it was going from like bright neon orange to like I think to like red to like yellow to like all the way to like cyan and like purple, and it was like it's like his shirt was like like cut out in a way, and like colors were just shifting through it. Like it was just like colors were shifting through it, and like it was just different colors, and like colors. I think I saw like new colors in it. I don't really know, but like it's just like a spectrum of colors just moving through it, and I've never seen colors change that dramatically still to this day. And you know, looking at his shirt, and then like I remember he kind of like began to almost like disassociate. Like what would happen is that there's like this looping, like kind of like a gif where it's like things are like that moving of the pattern would sort of like create like this loop. Like it felt like a loop, and it felt like time was getting stuck in a loop, and like time was starting to stop in a loop. and and when that happened, I was looking at him, and he was just kind of like disassociating, and like I freaking like grabbed on his shoulder, like dude, like you know, like try. It's like I kind of freaked out a little bit, like I like grabbed onto his shoulder, and I was like to, I don't know, like to break the trance or whatever, to like um it's kind of like a reality grip where you're like trying to hold on to reality or something. And like um he was just kind of confused, like, and and you know, I didn't really, I don't know, I didn't really know what to do exactly, but that kind of like snapped me out of it. It's like, oh, okay, it's not like time hasn't stopped, you know. So I just start like looking at the wood grain, and like turn bright red and stuff, and move. And then he kind of like leaves and does his own thing, and like you know, this is a little bit later on in the trip. And I remember the neighbor had like their sprinklers going, like, and I think I like laid back or something and like listened to the sprinklers, like the sprinklers like harmonized in their rhythm, like did like they're like harmonizing, and like it was like creating like the snake of like of of like it was, I don't know how to explain it, but it was like they were like harmonizing, and I could see this sort of snake pattern where they're all kind of in unison and moving, and like I wasn't even looking at them, I was just hearing it. and and I sort of got this image of Nirvana when I listened to them, and like it's like the blue sky and the just the oasis of the sprinklers, and just, you know, it's a sunny day and stuff. And and then um you know, there's that sort of experience with it, and it that was like really like Nirvana. I don't really know how to explain it, but it was like completely transfixing. I was just totally like my brain connected to it or something. It was just, who would have thought that sprinklers on a summer day would have that sort of effect on someone. But it's just the chattering created a perfect sort of um it just created the perfect sort of um um substrate. I don't really know a good way of like medium. It was just a perfect medium for something to like pass through again, and is that kind of snake like the snaking of the sprinkler noises, and that might not make any sense to people, but yeah. Um, and then and then I remember another thing from that trip too, and it's like I remember I like stared at I was like looking at my wall, like the walls looked very similar to this, just just very basic wall color, and I remember like I was like looking at the wall, but it was like there was something on the other side, and by something on the other side I meant like it was like there's something on the other side of the galaxy, but it was like doing like a Morse code, and I had no idea what it meant or anything, but it was just sort of like it was that sort of presence of like maybe it's completely delusional, but that was another thing that completely like locked me into like a trance, and like those terms like trance and mirage and stuff like I heard those words all my life, but I never knew like how real those things are. Like getting locked into a trance. It's like you're so curious about like what is this noise, this Morse code, and it's like it's like is something trying to communicate to me? It's like a weird sort of um it's just a really strange experience, and to this day I don't really know. I think so, but it's hard to say for sure. It could have been delusional or something, but um I think there's something to it to this day, and and um and so that was that was pretty much my first that was pretty much my first trip, and then I want to talk about a little bit about the second time I tripped. Um, the second time I tripped, I did it at a friend's house this time, and when this happened, I see this is like kind of tough to recall because I don't know if I start tripping and then went to his place, but um yeah, I think I ended up I was just at his place. I just remember tripping at his place. Okay, that's what I really remember. And I somehow remember that I had experienced like so many epiphanies and like realizations and just like insight that I couldn't really like explain them. Like it's just like this mind-blowing like machine gun of like many sort of revelations, just like so many little revelations, like a amazement and just like realizing things, and to this day I I think what it was just it was like the realize it was just sort of like the reality of like epiphany and stuff like that, and even though there's nothing I can really like explain, like nothing I can really like concrete about like some piece of advice or anything. It was just more so like that reality of like there is that like when people hit a certain alignment or something, it's like they can receive like just like so many realization like insights and information, just like the information just it's like a cosmic download. I hear people talk about that, and like that's what I experience, and it's just like all this downloading of different thoughts and feelings, and just like just the amazement of it. And I couldn't really even talk about it, and I just remember just the amazement of it. And I think if there's anything takeaway of it is that that sort of stuff is actually possible. Um and even if there's no like advice I can just give to people, it's more so just like there's something, man. There's something out there that can deliver information to people, and there's other people who have experienced similar things. And then, I remember also about that trip, like, um, me and that friend, we just talked and 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 talked. Like it was like kind of like a mania almost, but it like mania is like a pathological word, but it's just like we just had such a great conversation, and we were just talking about all kinds of things, and it's just this um like I never talk to people like that still to this day, and it just felt so refreshing to me to like have that sort of conversation with someone where we're both able to express so much, and it's just this outpouring, and we're all just like saying so much, and it's this rapidness of thinking, and just and it we I think we both like really appreciated that experience, and felt like, it's just very there's a it's not a normal thing, that people do that. And you know I remember like I remember some stuff though where like I think it had to do with like Alan Watts, and I think he's like talking about Alan Watts, and that was like one thing that kind of made me side eye a little bit, and like that's when the vibes kind of got a little different. Is like when Alan Watts was brought up, because I don't know why, but Alan Watts seemed like a negative, sort of like nihilistic sort of philosopher or something, or kind of like a pseudo intellectual or something. And that's just how it kind of came off to me. And like I think I don't know where it came from, but anyways, um, fast forward a little bit. It's getting to be nighttime, and we go outside, and I remember like when I went outside, he has this big open backyard and a lot of nature, and open space, like a lot of acreage and just like woods in the background. And I remember I just immediately like looked at the grass, and I was like, I asked him like, do you care if I just roll around in this for a little bit? And he just kind of shrugged and was like, he didn't care. And so that's what I did. I remember I just like went into the grass, and like I think I like just clutched at it, and I just started to like roll around and stuff, and just I don't know. And he thought it was funny, but it just felt like a release or something for me. Like I just felt like I don't know. That was very something I wanted to do. And then and then when I got up, I remember I kind of like uh went to the siding on his house, and I like looked at there's like a big bug on it, on like the door, on the glass of the door. And it's like a bug that was like this big, and it had like these pincers on the front of it, and like these wings on it. I don't know what kind of bug it was. It was like a totally new bug to me. It was kind of like something like a something. It kind of looked like a grasshopper and like a praying mantis mixed together, and but it was just a long sort of. It's just an insect, and it's like I remember I like started to pet it, like started to pet its wing, and it didn't fly away or anything. I was able to pet it, and like I don't know, that was just one memory. And then there's something else I remember I wanted to say about that first trip, the first time I tripped, and so I kind of am drawing a blank right now about the first trip, but there just just these first experiences that I had with LSD were some of the strongest trips that I experienced. Um, it's hard to like people will often say like with any sort of drug is that the first high that you experience is like the best, and you'll just spend the rest of the time trying to chase that high. I don't really feel like that was the case with LSD. There's a lot of times like when I would trip after that, I would still experience a lot of the same stuff, like the color, some of the color stuff, and there's nothing I felt like I felt like I wanted or like I don't know, I didn't feel like there's anything that was missing from it. And I didn't feel like there were lackluster experiences or anything like that. And um I I remember as well like those experiences. Like I went on to just do LSD and psychedelics just many times after that. And um okay, I remember what I wanted to say about that first trip. So how I was talking about Erowid before, and like learning about the sort of things people experience when they do psychedelics, is like that first time that I tripped, it was like, oh my god, like all this stuff that they're saying is true. Like I started to experience like everything that people are talking about with like LSD experiences. Like I was so eager to see things move finally, or to see colors shift, and like and to see the wood grain shift and move around. And it's like I just saw it firsthand, and it was like there's something about that that was such a confirmation to me that there's something beyond ordinary perception, that we don't see reality as it really is in a day-to-day life. Like we see reality in a way that is very confined, and people kind of people get this kind of belief where they don't think there's anything greater out there in the world. And it's very like atheistic perspective, because I remember I kind of dabbled in that when I was younger. Like I considered myself like agnostic at when I was younger. And but when I learned about psychedelics, and I learned about people who had spiritual experiences, or people who had met God, or talked to super powerful entities while on like DMT, or different psychedelics, and like or seeing different realities, and seeing new colors, and just all these things that people say. And it's like there's so many experiences out, so many people that claim to have experienced like higher power, and like higher beauty, and all these things. And it's like it's so right on with a lot of things people say. It's like the higher beauty, a higher detail, higher visual acuity, a higher like the revelation of thought, like epiphany, um realizations and amazement, and like trance and transfiction, and or like things like that. And just like the amazement that people can experience, and like ecstasy. Like I remember learning about psychedelic I remember like learning about people talk about like ecstasy and stuff, and it sounded like such a remote thing at the time. Like like these things are so remote to me, that like ecstasy, it sounds like nirvana. Like it sounds like this such a foreign thing. Like and like I kind of just wanted to like know if that was real. And it's like there is no limit to like amazement that people can experience, and I truly believe that. And it's and there's a lot of people that don't believe that. They think that the mundane everyday experience is like the most amazing thing ever. Or I mean they don't say that, but it's like they think it's like that, they think that's like the limit. They think that's the cap. Like they've seen everything, they've done everything. They know it all, you know, and it's like when I did psychedelics, like that just was totally ripped away from me, and it's like, oh my god, like I don't know anything. It's like there's so much profundity, like even like the word profound, like I didn't really know what a lot of those words meant until I really experienced them myself. And I when I sought those experiences out, and they were confirmation to me, and like spiritual realities, and um the notion of like higher intelligence, or like some sort of cosmic intelligence, or like um entity contact. Like I wanted to experience a lot of those things. I wanted to encounter some sort of something that was greater than me, or greater than any person. And and I really believe I did experience that. And at at different times during the years I did do psychedelics. And it's like when you experience a lot of that stuff, it's like, and you come back down to reality, reality, and you try to like bring those experiences back with you, or try to like tell people about them. A lot of people just like they don't seem to really buy it. And I think people actually kind of get annoyed when you talk about it, but um because a lot of people, it's just they don't want to do psychedelics. And so I think it's very off-putting for a lot of people to even consider like abstract things like uh yeah, like um religious or spiritual ideas, and or the idea of like spiritual or religious experience. Like a lot of people, it gets lost on a lot of people. And um it's like it's like when you get used to that sort of intensity of experience, and then you come back down, and you realize the spectacle that people are most engaged with, or you see what gives other people their kicks in life. It's like, oh my god, like these people seem to be just missing out like insanely, like they have no idea. And you want to tell people that, but I think people actually get offended if you were to just outright say that to them, because a lot of people have like ego, and they want to believe that they're like in this position of like intelligence, that they can they can make an assessment on um whether or not like there's intelligence out there in the galaxy, like aliens don't exist, things like that. And people make these rational beliefs like, oh, aliens don't exist, and all. It's like the irony is so insane, because it's like you are a living creature in the galaxy, and it's like, isn't that evidence that that exists? And like, there's and it's just there's there's this kind of insane hubris, I think, around just mundane everyday people. And I don't want to talk too much crap or anything, but it's like baffling. It really is, to think that people just like watch football, or like TV, or just like Netflix, and and that's where they get their kicks. It's just like engaging in politics, and it's so like um it feels so shallow to me. And it's like it's something about it I could really say so much about that, but it's just like I remember one time, someone I knew in my family, they like some of my family members, they went off for like a cruise, to they went on a cruise and it costed a lot of money. They went to someplace in um I think Mexico or something. They pretty much went to someplace in Mexico or I don't know, someplace in South America or something. I don't know, like in America, and just they went traveling, okay, on a cruise, and I remember when they did that, it's like I felt freedom to like do whatever I wanted at the house, and I remember I ended up taking like 350 micrograms of LSD, and that experience was like it was so profound to me, and I remember like thinking like, oh my god, like I can't believe people, like I can't believe I paid like not even $10 for this, and then you have people who have spent like $1,000 or more trying to get the kicks at like doing a cruise, and it's like they're trying to have an experience, and there's something like soul-wrenchingly sad to me about that, where it's like people are trying to have an experience, and it's like a psychedelic is just like it's almost a joke. It's like it's so profound and it's like so cheap and it's like they're everywhere. It's like it can be so easy to acquire, and it's like, but people, because of their straight edge lifestyle and stuff, that it's okay to do prescription, to take prescriptions and all this stuff, but LSD, and it's like it's totally, you don't want to do that, but it's like the experience. There's nothing more experience about like I don't really know how to say it. It's like if you're seeking an experience, like there's like a psychedelic experience is such an experience. It's like, oh my god, it's like um there's so many like like the amazement, the beauty, the detail. Like I remember I sat outside while the sun was coming up when I did that 350 micrograms, and the sun was coming up, and I remember the sun shining on the trees, and I remember the trees were like yellow, like the leaves were yellow, and it was like a golden fountain of just like it was like golden light, and it was like fractaling, and it's just one of those things where it's just like that's an experience of just like beauty, and 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 I really couldn't ask for more with something like that, and it's like this heightened sense of reality where there's more and more and more detail, and it's just growing and growing, and it's like there's the resolution is increasing and increasing, and then when I saw that happen, I actually saw like these eyes everywhere, and I mean Alex Gray, he depicts a lot of that sort of stuff. Like eyes are a big part of his artwork, but like that's something people can literally experience. Is like is these translucent, sort of transcendent eyes that become visible when you reach such a frequency that they become visible, and it's like, oh my god, it's like everything is aware, like everything is awareness or something, like it's and then I saw these giant like towering like um crystal vision tondos. It's something that Alex Gray has uh, portrayed in his artwork, but it's like these triangles with eyes in them, and there's just like massive fractals like in the trees, with eyes in them, and it's like there is like fall colors too, so it's like yellow, orange, and red, and it's just and it's like gold. The yellow was like gold, and it's like I don't know, man. Like an experience like that is like you can't put a price on it, and I'm not even saying that people should like go out and just do psychedelics trying to seek out an experience like that, but it's just like if you really try to educate yourself on like psychedelic experiences and like what people are spiritual experiences, like what people are able to experience in altered states of consciousness, eventually it's going to be so overwhelming that when people say all the same things over and over that you're going to be like, okay, there's got to be something else out there. There's got to be something that I don't perceive in my day-to-day reality. And that's the important part is realizing that we like perception often is like very constrained in a way where we don't see everything, and 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 we should learn to see beyond what we already see, and I think you can actually do that in day-to-day life. Likely it's not going to be insanely profound like a psychedelic experience, but in a much more grounded way we can, I think, learn to see um greater perspective. And I could really rant about this, but I think I'll just leave the video at this. I've made a lot more other videos, like recent videos where I talk about some of this stuff, but I want to create more videos too, but I'll just leave it at that for now. Those were some of my uh experiences with LSD, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching. It's a very long video. I um thank you guys for watching. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe. If you have any other experiences, similar experiences, please tell me in the comments. I would really like to hear some of your guys' experiences. I still like to read stuff on Erowid from time to time. I still like to learn about people's experiences from time to time, even though I've done psychedelics quite a bit. I just always feel like there's more. There's things I haven't experienced. I've never been to another dimension, I don't think, or at least not from psychedelics. It's hard to, and yeah. So thank you guys for watching. Peace out, everybody. uh Much love. All right, peace, bye.